which is a forum that is from the sector, representing the sector, the forum that is championing the transformation of the events and technical services sector. They will be introduced as we go along, but my task is mainly to greet you all and welcome you all for making time to come to such an important occasion. Some of you in the room may have been in other sessions that have been ongoing. These sessions are mainly for the development of the triple BEE sector code that is specifically for this sector. Having said that, and I know there'll be other speakers that will elaborate on that, I wish to also acknowledge the presence of our Chief Director from the Limpopo Province, Mr. Mwatse. Thank you very much, sir, for coming through and making time, as well as the colleagues from the province and other districts that are here today. Won't go through their names so that I'll be short. And having said that, I would like now to hand over to our moderator, who is going to come forward and assist us, Miss Julian Zimande. Have a lovely day. Be free to participate, ask questions, challenge the forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. Thank you for welcoming us to your beautiful province. It's always a pleasure to be outside of Gauteng for a change and to be in Limpopo. We must say we're very happy with the amount of people who've come today to be with us. This is your event. That's the most important thing. So I will also keep it very short and in standing. So I welcome everybody to this Events, Technical and Production Services Sector Transformation Code. All right? There have been many of them, and we're happy to be in Limpopo. My name is Julian Zimande, and I'll be your moderator during this session. So it's not for me to be here for a very long time. You're not supposed to hear my voice for more than 5 minutes. I'll just give a short introduction and welcome, really to outline the objectives and the purpose of these sessions and roadshows. And I promise you the majority of time today will be given to you to engage with the foreign members. Okay. So introduction by me, then the chairperson of the forum will give the purpose and outline, and then we will have really a discussion with you. So why are we gathered here today? Well, in 2012, the Department of Trade and Industry was approached by members of the organizations in your sector with the request to have a specific transformation sector charter code, right? And that happens for a lot of other sectors. Maybe you know the tourism, the property. They have their specific sector code, not the general sector code, because there are certain issues and challenges in your sector that needs to be specifically addressed. And that's why you've been given this specific charter that you can engage on. The aim of the development of such a sector charter is to address those challenges, right? And firstly, we do that through the negotiations that we've been having, and we've been having it nationally. We've been having engagements in Gauteng, KZN, Western Cape, and now in Limpopo. Some of you have maybe been to the sessions in Pretoria. And what comes out of here is really an expression of your industry and your industry commitment to transformation. After these sessions that we're having, it's still not legally binding. It will have to go back. All your inputs, the forum will then take in regard. Then they will come out and gazette a draft sector code. Now that one, again, is very important because that one you can comment on that one again. After that, and we hope that it's going to be soon, you will have a legal document. A document that everybody needs to adhere to and comply. So people in the sector, when they engage with government, will have to be measured according to that specific sector code. And that's what makes it very important, I always say to people, because people have this idea that it's private sector that runs an economy. But I'll have you know that, for instance, in Gauteng, right, government procures for 62 billion annually. So it is government that is the biggest procurer of goods and services. And it's definitely also government that is going to procure the most of the goods and services from your sector. And you know this, you see the national events that take place. These are government events. And it is in government and it is in the BE Act that there is a specific section, Section 10 of the BE Act, that will specifically say that government can only do business with industries that have adhered to BE, that are BE compliant. And it is in that procurement of government that they will then say, we can only do business with companies, this is an example, that have reached the BE status level 4 or more. So that's why these sessions become extremely important. The codes need to adhere to general principles, right? But overall, you are free as a sector to devise and put your own sector code together. So that's really my short introduction. I'll hand over to the chairperson of the ETPSI Transformation Forum. I'm here today joined by the chairperson, Opa Salamane, Gabriel Leroux. Yeah, you can give a round of applause. Gabriel, if you could stand up as well, just a wave. China, please. Pololo, please. A wave. And then I want to introduce a very important person, Mr. Freddy Nyatela. Please, a wave. And I know the chair, I'm going to steal this from you, but I was introduced years ago to the event sector by Freddy Nyatela. We worked very hard, the two of us, just to get it noticed within the DTI. And then we were brought together by the foreign members. They have worked extremely hard for many, many years to come this far, guys. And we will going to continue to take it all the way to make it a legal document that ensures transformation and ensures equality in your sector. And with that, I'd like to hand over to the chairperson, Opa Salamane. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. As already mentioned by the moderator, the Event Technical Production and Transformation Forum was actually established in 2011, not 2012. And of course, the DTI facilitated this so that we can all be guided by the BEE economic policy. As you are aware, ladies and gentlemen, that since the establishment of our democracy in 1994, our society remains characterized by racially based income and social inequalities. In general, the creation of the triple B sector codes is a mechanism that is aimed at addressing these inequalities and also to mobilize the energy of all South Africans so as to contribute towards a sustained economic growth, development, and social transformation in the country. The motivation behind the establishment of this forum was necessitated by the challenges that were faced by this sector. One of them, and I won't mention, there's quite a number of them, I'll touch on 2 or 3 of them, but the document in front of you has all those details. The major ones was that this sector is dominated by white-owned companies that are not transformed. There was also a challenge in that there's a number of black people that are utilized for fronting in this sector. And of course, that this sector on its own, it's not regulated. So it was necessary that the transformation sector codes be developed so that we are all guided by this principle. The vision of the forum is to have a prosperous event, technical and production sector that is globally competitive, that is inclusive and highly skilled and characterized by a shared growth and a strong commitment to human capital and the development of knowledge and skills. Our objective is to define the scope and the principles and the framework in which this industry can be transformed. We want also to have an increased number of black people that own and control the assets in this sector. And of course, we want to facilitate the partnerships in the sector. We also want to introduce new players in the entire value chain in the industry so that we create improvement and competitiveness and efficiency in that value chain. We'll of course intensify our campaigns aimed at encouraging the increase in the number of especially international events in the country, including the marginalized areas to grow the industry. As already touched by Julia, the moderator, this forum is made mainly by 10 associations. And these are EXA. EXA is short for Exhibitions and Events Association of Southern Africa. And EXA, of course, in this forum is represented by Ms. Leanne Alder, who was unable to join us. But please welcome EXA as well. The other association is called SACI, which is short for Southern African Association for the Conference Industry. And SACI is represented by Mr. Clinton de Kock. Mr. de Kock, as you know, today, the same way as Ms. Leanne is not here, they are both attending Meetings Africa, and they are both unable to be here. Please welcome Mr. Clinton de Kock in his absence. We also have IFIA, short for International Festival and Events Association, and also at the Meetings Africa in Joburg, represented by Ms. Janet Landy. She's also not here. Please welcome her though. And present today is the president of SAMPA, short for South African Music Promoters Association, and SAMPA is represented by Mr. China Mpololo. Please welcome Mr. Mpololo. And of course, we have, as Julia had mentioned, the most important member of the forum. This is the person who actually triggered the creation of the forum. If it wasn't for this person, this forum would not be here. Some 12, 13 years or so ago, Mr. Freddie Nyatela, who's sitting with us here, representing SARA, South African Roadies Association, approached Parliament with those glaring challenges that I'd mentioned earlier, confronted the Parliament to inform them of these challenges that they needed to be addressed. And since then, the Portfolio Committee of Trade and Industry embarked on this process to create the forum. And so please welcome Mr. Freddie Nyatela from SARA. We also have SACIA as a member association. SACIA is short for Southern African Communications Industry Association. And it is represented by Mr. Kevin Jones. He is unable to be with us. However, welcome Mr. Kevin Jones. Another association from the union movement, or the labor side, is TUMSA, short for Trade Union for Musicians of South Africa. And here TUMSA is represented today by Mr. Gabi Leroux. Please welcome Mr. Leroux. We also have IPO, short for Independent Producers Association. And IPO is represented by Mr. Quentin Fredericks. He is unable to join us. However, please welcome him. Two other associations is SAIC and SIPA, both short for Southern African Events Council and Council of Event Professionals Africa, respectively, and both represented by Ms. Sue Gannon. She's also at Meetings Africa and is unable to join us. Please welcome her. Thanks, colleague. I'm now getting into my presentation. And I want, as Julia had mentioned, that we engage with each other. There is no stupid question. Please feel free to ask any question. If you are uncomfortable to raise any matter or a question in public as we are, we'll be seated on this table, and please take your chair and come and sit with us. We can discuss more. This document, it's a draft, and with your input, this document will be a solid and a final document. So please engage it. I know the time is short for you to have gone through it in totality, but this process will be open for you to engage with for the next 3 months. If you are not able to make any input today, through the websites of the Department of Trade and Industry and Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, you'll still be able to submit your inputs that we can incorporate into the document. Now, over the years, individuals from these various associations that have just development of the industry-specific BE scorecard for our sector. Some of these organizations represent individuals, some represent companies, and of course some think our proposed codes go too far, and some believe that our codes don't go too far. Despite our differences, however, we finally agreed on a document we feel comfortable sending out to you, the stakeholders, for further comment and input, so that collectively with you, we can develop a scorecard that will serve our industry. Why is this important now? One of our questions that we encounter all the time since we started these public engagements is why we need this industry scorecard, or do we ever need it at all? And if we don't need a scorecard, why now, when the events and the audiovisual industry has been decimated by the COVID in the last 2 years? There's no funding in this sector, and there hasn't been much of live events, etc., and trends, etc. The answer, of course, is provided by a quote from President Ramaphosa, who in presenting the South African Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan in April of 2020, described how the COVID pandemic from the President's statement, we have no choice but to develop our own industry-specific scorecard that serves our own needs. In exploring whether we should develop our own scorecard or use the generic scorecard, we move from the premise that the events technical production segment to have smaller companies with a low headcount of highly skilled. This proposed scorecard covers a variety of event formats, including sports, entertainment, and business events. It also includes exhibitions, incentive tours, film, television, and audiovisual production. It also includes a range of activities hosted at a stadium, at a venue, or an audiovisual production facility. It even includes events hosted in a virtual online space. It's a very broad spectrum of activities that cuts across several other industry sectors, and we are aware that in its breadth, there may be companies who are confused about where they fall. In August of 2021, National Film and Video Foundation released their 2021 economic assessment study that looked at the state of the transformation in our sector. They concluded that overall, there are low levels of inclusion and slow transformation in the audiovisual industry. This is a particular challenge at a higher skills level within the industry where there's very limited transformation. They recognize that the audiovisual sector has made steady progress on the transformation front in terms of employment and management aspects. Similar research exists in the events industry where we find high barriers to entry for venues and technical production companies because of the high capital costs that are involved. There are almost no barriers to entry for event organizers who don't require a high capital investment. But events, it's a high-risk business, and despite the low barrier to entry, and perhaps even because of it, there's high failure rate of startup businesses and slow transformation in the industry. In order to address these issues, we've taken a long look at the core elements of the BBBE scorecard, and we've radically increased the transformation targets for specifically ownership, management control, and skills development. As you can see, the comparison of the two scorecards, ours on the extreme right, ETPSI, at 190 points compared to the generic scorecard at 111. We have also increased the points needed to achieve the various BBBE levels. So while there are more points available in each category, the targets are also increased. As you can see, it's a pity I didn't have the generic scorecard comparison with me here, but you can see from the generic scorecard, it's 100 points for you to get recognition level 1, whilst on our scorecard, it's 171 points that you need to achieve to get to recognition level 1. I'm just going to share with you a few examples of how the proposed scorecards deviates from the generic one, and a good place to start is with the ownership targets. In this instance, you can see the target for exercisable voting rights in an entity held by a black person is increased from 25% plus 1 voting share to 40%. That's a drastic increase. Our objective here is to incentivize entities so that they can increase black participation in industry boards, but the reward for achievement of the higher target is increased from 4 weighting points to 10 weighting points, as you can see from our scorecard. We've also increased the targets for the economic interests in which black people are entitled from 25% in the generic scorecard to 40% in our scorecard, with a corresponding increase in the weighting points that accrue. We've significantly increased in the targets related to the economic interests of black persons in shared ownership schemes and cooperatives, raising those targets from 4% to 20% so that we can encourage black people to embrace empowerment structures and also to encourage companies to sell shares to their employees. We are looking for greater equity participation from staff or surrounding communities where these entities are operating. One of the big concerns that we've identified in the research carried out by National Film and Video Foundation revolved around the failure of black people employees to progress into middle management position. And so we've proposed a target to address this bottleneck and create an opportunity for junior employees to progress in their career. This target doesn't exist in the generic scorecard and is introduced specifically in our scorecard to respond to the specific challenges that exist in our events sector. We've also doubled the targets for supplier and enterprise development, encouraging companies or entities not only to create employment opportunities for their own staff, but also to create a black-owned supply chain that can feed into their businesses. We've increased the targets allocated to training and skills development, specifically because we want to encourage on-the-job training, mentorship, and work-integrated learning, as well as more formal education that needs to the award of qualification or professional designation. And finally, we've increased targets for socio-economic development because we believe that the events industry in particular has the potential to offer employment opportunities and feed into our much broader event community. We've often seen the development of micro enterprises that can contribute to events with the production of local craft producers. While we've published our draft scorecard, as I had already mentioned when I started this presentation, this is certainly a work in progress that will be amended based on your feedback and your focus on reviving the sector in order to create a sustainable future. At the same time, we need to address, one, address historic inequalities and create economic opportunity for black people. Two, we need to promote training and skills development as a tool for economic recovery. And we also need to accelerate transformation at a higher skills level by creating structured career paths. I want to stop here and thank you and give you an opportunity to ask questions. Thank you.
Let's see, yeah. I'm getting right into it. I don't know if there were already questions. Do I have ushers? Who's gonna usher? Just to make sure that people can ask the questions. Thank you. Shall we start with this block? 1, 2, 3. I'll do 3 questions each time. Then I'll move to that block. Then I'll move back to that block. Is that fine? I know. So.
I'm Shane. Thank you very much for. Should I start?
Yeah, you can stand, introduce yourself, and quickly ask 1 question each. I know that never works out, but let's give it a try.
No, if it's 1 question, then it's injustice. I can't continue.
How many questions do you want to ask?
I think they will keep coming as
No,
I
that's,
speak.
that's fine.
All right.
Let's ask your question. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Bongani Tlongwani. Provincial office. I'm in charge of registration in the province. In our last interaction with you in Pretoria, there were a couple of questions that were posed, were asked to the panel. The issue of inclusivity in that forum, the issues of youth, or they are not represented in that forum. You talk of human capital and skills. I think those were asked there. And then we said it must be representative in the sense that the provinces themselves, because when I look at your structure there, like in Limpopo province, I don't see one. Or can we have reps from provinces to sit in that particular forum? You spoke of issues of value chain and so on. And then the structures that constitute this forum, do it reflect the demographic of our society, I mean the whole South Africa? And in terms of coordination, how do you then link the province with the national structures? Because people who are seated here, I understand people, disabled group, young people, developing artists and so on, but they don't have funds. And then how do we then ensure that they get necessary information for them to also compete in that particular space? And then last time when we spoke, we even resolved that there will be a sort of a conference where we shall converge again, and then wherein we shall come up with a structure that actually is endorsed by provinces. I think that was spoken about in that particular forum. But be that is may, and then we support the leadership that is seated here. But the issue, I'm jealous because I see old people that are there. I don't see young people. I would be happy, and if it must. When we speak of transformation, when we see this forum, we must also see you are redressing the imbalances of the past. We want these young women to emerge, but if you still have, I will not talk much from the moral generation aspect, but we want to see, vibrant young people seated in those forums. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would we like to give immediate response? I'll have to. Okay, all the 3 questions. Okay.
Okay. Thanks to me for rescuing. A very good day. My name is Pileng Makubela. I'm from Mokopon municipality under Waterberg district. I'm from the organization called YOLO. You only live once for positive life. Okay, first and foremost, I'm not here just to antagonize this forum, which is just doing the great job, but I would like to support the sentiment that the speaker said 101%. Because if you can possibly check, the majority of us, or the majority of people who are requesting the fund, they have got a very well organized forum that should have been the voice and the ears of those who are down without any information, so that they can be able to help us. Because the majority of the organizations that are here since the pandemic, they've been struggling to get money so that they can make their enterprise and their organization to move. But however, I found it so, I found it so, it boggles my mind to say that we have got a very well organized people who can represent us and say 1, 2, 3, because they are closer to the information, to those that they have got their resources. Like you mentioned, others are in Africa, others are doing this and that. Over there in terms of maybe trying to dolly-dally our mind, or are over there just to make it a point that they just check wherever there's some resources so that they can be able to help those that they are in need. Because in my vernacular, they say, if you are in Limpopo, so if there is no anyone who is closer that can say this and that, we'll keep on doing this, that, and we'll be romanticizing the feelings and the emotion, enjoying this thing, then we just leave. So what I'm just trying to say in a nutshell is that I found this forum being so let me call it spade a spade. I found this forum being so impeccable on theory, but impossible on practicalities, because of so many of the NGO agencies, other different organizations that can be able to uplift and at least improve the lives of people, especially those who are unemployed. They are still struggling. Why? The majority of people who are within this industry, they don't have money, but money is there. Gauteng, you said you've got 2-point-something billion. Even in Limpopo, it means we have got a lot of money. But if we were having those who can raise the voice and say, not in my name, not under my watch, not on my watch, not while I was just trying to check and lead by this particular forum, I'm telling you, we would have been far away. So please, in practicality, guys, make it a point that in terms of transformation, do it in practicalities. You are old, get retired and go home and give another one chance, or do the good job, or let's do the skills transformation and teach us. Because they say, in my vernacular again, they say, let us do a skills transformation so that you can go and rest. Well, we'll just keep on doing. Give us the button, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairperson of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tumi Makwela, originally from Waterberg, where it is in a central place called Mudimolle, the mountain of big ancestors. That's where originally I am from. I just want to concur with the latter speaker that was just speaking before my fellow colleague was speaking. Basically, I'm leading the artist in Waterberg, also in the province. So I become very concerned to the chairperson. Chairperson, me sitting here as a young person, I asked myself question as you were busy elaborating on your presentation, to say that as an artist, whatever that you indicated there, where do we come in? How does it fit us? It does not speak to us as young people, number one. And it does not tell us how are we going to benefit. Instead, it's adding a stress on top of a stress. If we go for funding, to apply for funding, they tell us a huge drama to say that we need particulars, PPE certificates, what, and all those things, and then they need money. And then you increase money on top of money. So I just want us to clarify there. Another thing, I concur the latter speaker, Chairperson, and the panel as well. Get a way where you can be able to engage with us as young people, because we are facing a very huge challenge as young people in the local level, in the district level, in the provincial level, in the national level. There's no way that you can do something without young people. That is why there is a norm that says that nothing without us, because we are the futures of tomorrow. In that particular sittings that you are sitting in, get a buy-in from us as young people, so that we can tell you the frustration of young people. There are some other things that you as old people, you cannot be able to attest to the frustration that we are facing as young people. But immediately if you have a young person, you'll be able to understand all the frustration and the dynamics that we are facing in the ground, in the district, in the level, in all levels, because of you having us next to you. But immediately if you can say to us, or you add things on top of unemployment rate that we are having, you add percentage on top of frustrations that we are having now, it totally means that now you are killing us dead before we are dead. So it will not add any value, and then we cannot even find it interesting or attractive for us to buy whatever that you presented here, because it's not speaking to us as young people, it's not speaking to us as artists, it's not speaking to us as young entrepreneurs that are coming. But instead, it is dragging us down. It is killing us. You are saying that most of us are having a problem that they put us in the front. You are definitely right. They do put us in front because we feel that we want to be entitled of an ownership. But because of we don't have resources, we are not. You are not telling us about resources. You are telling us about adding percentage. Where is opportunities? We want opportunities. You are speaking about transformation, but you are not transforming us. You are killing us. Please transform us. Give us a way that this is the way to make money. And then we are transforming you. We are saying that as a young person, you will be able to hire 10 people. And then we are going to help you in terms of making sure that you get money. And then this is the way. You spoke about people, those who are representing artists. I'm even sure they cannot even give us a note of music, or those people that you said about. They don't even know anything about music. They don't even know frustration of music. They don't even know what is Mr. Copyright. No, I'm not fighting, say. Can I be protected, Chairperson? Am I protected? No, I see Mr. doing like this, so I feel like I'm demoted. So, am I protected? Okay, thank you. It is how young people address things. We call a spade a spade. You'll bear with us, panel. Bear with us. Let us tell you what we are facing. Now, you cannot tell a person who's not an artist to lead artists that he does not know or she does not know the frustration. We need a person who will know our frustration. When we tell her, oh, you know what, they stole my music, she or he will tell us, oh, you know what, this is the way, you need some, bro, you need this, you need this, you need this. But he cannot even do a drama. But you tell a person is an artist. How will we over-advocate for us when else he does not know anything that we need? He does not know even to pose. But you tell us a person that is representing us. How? Please involve us. There's nothing that you can do without us. We are the future. And there's no any other person that can be able to represent us without us. Because we are the only people, those who understand our frustration. In that sense, let me submit, because I see you got a, I'll be killed.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you for the questions. I'll try my best to answer what I can answer. My colleagues are here with me. They will assist me in giving response. Bongani had spoken about inclusivity in the forum, and he specifically mentions that there is no representation from this province or other provinces. Yes, it is true. This forum, it's made up of associations, not individuals or companies or entities that are not associated to any sort of an association or federation. I mentioned 10 associations that make up this forum. And this forum only operates in this sector: events, technical, production. We are not an artist lobbying forum or looking to the interests of artists. That's not our job. That's not what we're here for. And also, as we're sitting here, all of us come from our different entities that are affiliated to these associations that I've mentioned, the 10 associations. So these associations all operate national in the different provinces. I know some exist here in Limpopo, and other associations such as TUMSA has interests of artists in that regard. Now, when this forum was formed, the DTIC, which was facilitating, was not looking at representation at provincial level. The same way that DTIC is only one department of the government based in Pretoria, but it does its work nationally. That's the same way as this forum operates. For you that own and operate entities, it is therefore necessary that you join any of the association members so that your interests are represented in that association that you are doing. It's not every member of the entities that would sit in the forum. It is those entities that are associated to an association that will appoint one representative to represent them. And so when we are forming this, there was no gender, no color, no age that came into consideration. What we knew for the fact was that our sector was not transformed. We knew for the fact that there were some black people who were used as fronts in our sector. We also knew that government is the biggest procurer of services in the country, and entities that could only access the government funding were white-owned entities. And so it was necessary that a transformation code be developed so that it addresses those issues. And my plea to you is that young people who feel left out, I've mentioned the 10 associations. Please find yourself a way to join any of those 10 associations so that your interests are looked after via those associations that form the forum in its entirety. Yeah, let me leave it to China to complete.
Thanks, Jefferson, and good morning to everyone. I think my take is completely taking a different line from my assessment of this meeting. I think I understand very well where these frustrations and concerns are coming from. And I think it's important for us to take it into consideration and not just dismiss them. The chairperson is correct, but I think we should begin to ask, because that is what is triggering me now, whether the delegates that are here, did they receive the proper brief of what this session is all about? That is the first aspect. If you are listening to people talking about artists, talking about frustrations and so forth, it is not a coincidence, Chairperson. It is because they hardly get opportunities to express themselves in trying to speak to the leadership or government. Now, any platform they receive, they feel that this is the only way that we can be able. We understand that. That's why it's not easy for us to say, no, you're out of order. Because remember, we know how these things are coming up. And I think what the chairperson did not specify on is the fact that people that are expected to be in this session are people that are working on production, technical, and events, not performers, not songwriters, not composers. When we talk of transformation, if you remember, in the last couple of years, most of major events, be inauguration of the state president, be Women's Day, be Youth Day, companies that used to host those projects were gear houses and so forth, which were white companies. Now, all black companies will be called in just to be crew members, but no stake at all, which is what led to an interview Mr. Nyatela had in Australia, exposing those problems and challenges that we're facing in this country, triggered the government to say, you know what, let's try and readdress this issue. Now, if you did not get the brief that if you're not a technical person, you're not running a company with all this kind of, you will find yourself dealing with this kind of questions. So don't feel bad, we understand that. But I think it is a responsibility of you within the province to engage the provincial government. Chief Director is here. It can't be that your only opportunity to have to express your challenges is when there are visitors that are coming to address. Do you know, we're here working on the gazetting of the situation. We're at the space now of consulting nationally. And if we're not getting any input in relation to the presentation as it has happened now, we move on. We didn't get anything. Then we go to the next aspect. So that is why, Chairperson, I'm saying let's try to accommodate and find ways. But if you remember, the Chairperson, before his closing remarks, one of the critical things he made, if there are certain things that you want to raise and you feel you are not in the right space, when this session ends, we're still here. Remember, if you talk of artists, you talk of composers, we are very close to all those. These are associates. We're able to relate to relevant structures to address the challenges, even if they've got nothing to do with the session that we're dealing with now. So I thought it was important for us to recall our mind and get to understand why are we here and what is it that we need to achieve. I'll stop there for now, Jason. No, it's fine.
Yeah, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for taking the trouble to come out here. And I want to agree with what China just said now, that we understand the frustration that there's so few opportunities, especially for young people, emerging people who are artists, who may be musicians, actors, crafts people, fashion people, graphic designers, etc., and even cultural workers that are coming into the industry. There are so few opportunities for them to get into a forum like this where there's a collective and they can express their frustrations, they can express their day-to-day bread and butter issues that are the guy, he used the expression, they are killing us, those things that are killing you, you know. Then sometimes we don't understand the purpose of a specific gathering, and clearly the expressions of frustration, etc. It doesn't address the actual contents of the document that has been developed since Brafredi put this process in motion so many years ago. So just to finish off on that particular point, each sector has a BBEE code. Each one. This sector doesn't. And it is one of the ones that is still most untransformed. It is still one of the ones where white ownership is still most prevalent, and where oppression is still most prevalent, where especially young emerging black people are not giving opportunities to come into positions where they make decisions and where they get equity, where they get ownership. They are brought on board, and sometimes in a flimsy attempt to satisfy BBEE demands, they would be appointed in positions just to get the numbers right. But at the end of the day, they're just carrying gear, they're just carrying equipment, and there's no ownership there. So be assured, this is a process that is meant to readdress that. And in that sense, it's the transformation that we are approaching. Lastly, and I'm speaking specifically to my young brother there. I can see your frustration, I can feel it, And it may seem to you like this is a bunch of old faces here, but if you look at the structures that we represent, and most of those structures, in my particular case for TUMSA, I'm the one who founded the union, because of guys like yourself, to give you a structure, to give you somewhere where you can come and emerge and put your frustrations on the table. And when you want to speak about Middle C, and you want to speak about chord progressions, I've been doing it for 47 years. I've had how many platinum and Sara and Sama awards? I can play you any instrument you like, and I can assist you to become a better musician. But this is not the forum. Yeah? We are here to address the transformation in the technical and events industry. So please feel free to engage me afterwards. If you want to talk to me, I sit on the SAMRO board. I was voted by the majority of composers in the country to represent them on that board. I can assist you with copyright. I can assist you with all your other frustrations. When there was funding needed for the artists who couldn't perform during COVID, I was at the forefront. As old as I am, my brother, 6,500 people each got 10,000 rand in their pockets during that time because of the timer there. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just ask the right questions at the right time. So we are here to address BBEE in the sector, to make sure that you guys are involved. Doesn't matter your age, your gender, so that you have an input, that when we take these codes for gazetting, you have had an opportunity to have your say about the codes. We are not here for any other business. Thank you very much.
This old white man, he will make you a millionaire. That's a person who produced all hits of Mendoza and Kalakata and everyone. The old man.
Thank you. Good morning. I guess it's still good morning. Yes, still right. Just a minute before. No, it's fine. It's okay. My apologies. I've got a bout of bronchitis, so I'm recovering from that. So just, colleagues, I think when China walked in here this morning, he said myself and himself have got similar shirts. So I think it's for that reason that he stole my ideas. What he just said is exactly what was troubling me here. The brief, I think as a department, as a province, we must take full responsibility for that. I think we did not put across the brief correctly. And that's why, whilst we feel a little bit taken aback by the frustrations, we can also acknowledge that they are relevant. People will always take advantage of any opportunity to vent their anger. though it's not, it may not be the right platform. But let me indicate that I think it was clearly indicated that, for instance, Gauteng, your procurement slice from government, it's about over 62 billion, am I correct? 62 billion. And as government ourselves, annually, and I can give you a practical example. We've just come out of staging one of the biggest events in the province, which is Mapungubwe, the festival. Colleagues will know that we're struggling terribly when it comes to getting services from our local people. We would, at many points, appoint a service provider individually. Now, because of similar frustrations, some of the events managers or events companies and technical people may feel that they're at the mercy of an individual without entering into proper contracts and agreements with the main service provider. They then take up the brief. And once everything is said and done, these people come to our offices because they don't know Zandile, they know the department. They come to us and they say, we were not paid. And you ask, what did you do? No, I provided a service security, I provided ICE, I provided this. And these people found themselves at the mercy of an individual. Now, they don't know that individual, they know you, but you've contracted everything to that individual. So I'm just giving an example. We have many events in the province, but quite often we get this difficulty. And I think we should take advantage of this opportunity here that maybe individually or in groups we can approach the forum here and raise some of our issues and be guided properly. The reason for this is that we are just about to start with the construction of a theater in the province, provincial theater, which will be a first. And you know that many of our services, it's not a secret, you're quite correct, these 10 associations or different structures exist, and some of them have got a footprint in many of the provinces. So if you are not one or you are not associated with any of them, it doesn't mean that the structure here shouldn't exist, because they take membership from the different provinces. So it's about time that we wake up and say, are these structures that they're referring to, are they prevalent in our provinces? How do we reach them? How do we get to understand what is our role? And it's correct. The majority of people who are here, just a week back, under a week, am I correct? Just a week. The previous, just last week, we've had an Indaba here, well-attended Indaba, community arts centers Indaba, which had a great number of artists coming together here. And it could have been that people might have thought, this is hot on the heels of that. So a great number of people who come here are artists. They are not misplaced. I think there's a lot that they can learn from here, because you can't be stuck in one place. Tomorrow you can be an events company. It doesn't mean that. And I sometimes feel offended when people say, I'm not a musician, so as a result, I can't run arts and culture. It doesn't translate. The fact that I'm not a musician doesn't mean that I can't read about that. Doesn't mean that I can't guide, I can't advise on that. Because we don't want artists who flourish today and tomorrow they disappear. We want a mainstay, and that's what we are trying to build. So we will as a department go back and talk to National. I know that the train is passing, but what we will do is we'll ensure that we go back and set up a proper sitting where we call in the relevant stakeholders. If need be, we can once more invite stakeholders or representatives from your side to come and address the correct people. The people here are correct, but I think they are going to vent their frustrations, and they are going to find themselves leaving here without the answers, because they might have been thinking that we are going to talk artists. And the difficulty I have is that in the province, in our province, I was talking to a colleague this morning. We are the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture. And when I sit in meetings, I'm always reminded, you see, you're not like sport. Sport are organized. Artists are scattered all over. They are not organized. So let's look at such things that whenever we come to a sitting, let us speak with one voice. Let us get to understand what is the brief. And then if we are misplaced or we are the wrong forum, let's go back and establish how can we correct that. But I can give you a commitment that we'll go back, we'll speak to National again, we'll find a way of making sure that we correct the situation, because I know people who are here feel a little bit out of place, that now what the input they must make here might not find their way, because they thought it's an issue about the plight of artists generally. We don't want to undermine the craft of anybody here, but we would like to say that what we have done, we might not have stuck to the brief, but we'll correct that. Thank you.
Thank you. Like I said, I'm going to do 3 here, then I'll move to that side, then I will come back. So any comments, please hold. And to ensure inclusion, I'm definitely going to give it to the lady here who had her hand up as well.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tumi M. I'm a young patriot, Kamara Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. Ke kwile motho mongwe a bolela gore people sitting there, they are all medalas. Ke kgopela go hlalosa gore rena re le ba baswa, we as young people, we need our elderlies for us to go forward. Now where I am today is because of my grandmother. She taught me everything that I know. Without these people, remember they are under structures, they are representing structures. So with them, we're gonna learn a lot. And please, let us all be positive. A positive mind creates positive results. Artists, the reason why we do not go forward is because we are always negative. I need each and everyone today. I see people owning technical companies here. Next year, Mapungube, a new company that was developed this year by these people sitting here. And again, please, anyone who has frustrations, as I mentioned, I'm a young patriot, Kamara Department. I need you to come to me with your frustrations. I will note them down, Kadisha Karga, our department. Believe you me, we're gonna take your frustration up, retodi sota out, Kam Kanagajona. Anyone who needs my contacts, 081 836 8508. Anyone 081 836 8508. I'm gonna assist you again on registering companies, be it partnership, be it sole traders, be it close cooperation. You don't need a lot of money. Only 140 rands will help you to register a company. 140 rands. You don't need to go to an internet cafe and pay 4,000. Then from there onwards, they mentioned something about skills development and management control and skill development. This will increase the opportunities of us as black people in owning companies that will provide services, stages and all of that. Anyone who needs to open a company, please, please, please speak to me. After registering your company, I'm gonna help you again, Nali, Babang, others, Kamaraha department, on registering with the CSD, Central Supplier Database, that will assist you in getting opportunities from the department. tsa go swana le gore the department e go hire o kgone go hwetša mebereko ka gare ga department, because if you're not registered with the CSD, it is very much difficult for the department to can actually hire you. Thank you so much. Le di tsere dinomoro tsela ka mekana ga lena. Le di tsere ne? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor. Like I always said, if you want things done, ask a man. Or said, ask a man. If you want it done, ask a woman. Okay. 2 more questions on that side. What?
Good morning. Nakiditaba Wagamalapani from Palaborwa, Mopani district. I'm events coordinator. I'm owning a company of doing events and promotions. I'm also a DJ, club DJ, and a radio personality attached to the local community radio station. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of things that I wanted to say were already said. So I just feel somehow pain when I find a situation like this where frustrations are being taken out on wrong platforms because of probably having not understood what is the purpose of why we are here. I just want to say a few things that because I see it happening a lot with our artists in Limpopo. I just want to say a few things from experience. I've been in the industry for over 20 years now. I started very young as well. But the success of artists does not necessarily depend on anyone. It doesn't depend on that panel that is sitting there or any organization or whatever. It depends on your craft. Our artists tend to want to blame people or structures or government for some of their own failures. Guys, the moment we start taking our craft seriously, the moment we start pushing on our own, we are not going to win as artists. So I'm only saying this to say, guys, you need to be self-reliant and stop shifting blame. You know, our artists don't read, they don't learn, they don't follow things, they don't want to understand how our government works. What is legislation? You know, simple things that basically can make you understand how we move together as a country. That is why you find when we meet like this, we are always pointing fingers at each other. It's because we don't do our homework as artists. When we go out there or after this, you might feel like you are in the wrong place. You're not in the wrong place. Go and do that homework. Find out what other artists are doing that are making them successful. Do those things. Let us not always cry foul. You know, crying sometimes doesn't really help. What helps is the actions that you take. That you are able to see them, to say, these are my problems, these are my challenges. And there are many doors, like they already mentioned, including that lady there, to say, we are here. If you come with the right approach, if you approach the right people, the right offices, if you mix with the right kind of friends and stuff like that, you will most definitely in this industry, you will make it. You will make the right connections. I just wanted to say something to you know, there was the interaction. But most definitely, if you are an artist and you're not a business owner, yeah, there might have been the mistakes that were made in terms of the briefing. Even when I was coming this side, I did ask my colleague to say what was the briefing, and then we were not sure as to why we are here. So we are also asking for the future. Let us make sure that the briefing is clear so that we come here prepared. Also, probably these documents can be emailed or something, so we go through them before we arrive here, and then so that we can be able to have meaningful input. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Last question on that side, and then I'll move.
Thank you. Tabela. Yeah, it seems like it is a little tough, but my name is Abraham from Come Together Consortium. I have questions that I thought the forum will be able to answer. In terms of, I'm here as an NPO. You talk of BBEE. And for my compliance in terms of SARS, you find that my organization is tax exempted. And for me to keep the status quo as tax exempted, I'm not allowed to make an income, making business like that, to sustain our organization. So my question is, in terms of contributing to that economy, because at the organization, I've got youth, I hear the youth are talking. I've got youth that have studied, they've got different qualifications. They are working with me in the organization, but frustration that is here. I'm living in it every day because I work with the youth in my organization. So, but the thing is how to help this an identified creative youth who are in our organization. They try to make a living. There is no fund at all, but they are there on day-to-day basis trying to make a work. How can you help us as an NPO? What I know, my question is, as I am exempted, I am not allowed to make an income, but we are creative. How can we achieve and be part of this forum? Thank you.
Thank you, Abram. The NPO Act does not prohibit you from making an income. You are in fact encouraged by the NPO Act to generate an income. Your income is necessary for the sustainability of your entity. The only thing that you are not allowed as an NPO is to distribute the dividends of the entity. The profit that is generated, it's not for trustees or the board of directors. That's the only difference. NPO and PTY, LTD and SCC, they differ only in that regard. NPOs, directors are not shareholders. They don't have equity in their company. Whilst the PTY, CC cooperatives, they are equity holders, they are shareholders, and at the end of the financial year, if there's profit made, then they can do dividends amongst each other. So go out and do events or activities that would generate an income for your NPO. Do the funding applications. If there are live events that your organization is doing, do more of that so that you generate an income. And of course, I had mentioned earlier, we've got the president of SAMPA here, which is an association of music promoters. They basically operate in the space of live music events. And if you are operating in that space, I would encourage you to join SAMPA so that you can do collaborations with them. That's all I think I can say regarding your income-making entity. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm moving to the gentleman in the back. You had a question? The one who's holding the mic, yeah, Ntate.
Yes, kgopela go bolela segaga bo rena a ke rile yang kwa ka moka ke no ba le dikgopelo mo go lena baetapele ba rena. Nna ke chairperson ya spiritual crime prevention, and then gape ke vice chairperson ya GBV mo Mogalakwena, and then ebile ke moruti. Jwale rata go kgopela maybe lo tse nka di kgopelang ke gore di ka re thusha. And then gape ke coordinator the artist mo Waterberg ge re dia di event ke nna ke berekang le ba agriculture baba yeah, arts and culture. Okay, go ba thusha go ba fa di artist. Jwale re ba le problem ko fase kwa ka taba ya di artists tse re di kgopelang gore di re thege mo di eventeng tša rena, because o humana e le gore re ba tshepiša gore ba tlo perform, and then re ba tshepiša gore ba tlo performa ba nyaka go tseba re tlo ba fa bokae akere. Jwale ba nyaka go tseba re tlo ba fa bokae, and then re kgona go leka go bolela le Department of Agriculture ba re fe budget ya bona gore na re ka berekša di artists tše kae, ke bolela ka Waterberg. And then wa humana e le gore that budget ba re fang yona e ba e le gore e ka ba e le gore e gona, mara mafelelong wa humana e le gore that budget a e tšwelele le gabotse ka tsela e tshwanetšeng. Jwale di artist di lwa le rena o ka re rena re ditsotsi re ja ditšhelete tša bona. Jwale ntho ewe a re beng fe mo dilong tše re di dirang ka ditšhelete tše tša di artist, ka baka la gore ba lwa le rena ba re ke ile ka tla mo premier ke tla le group ya di artist mo re ile ra tshwenya premier ka lebaka la gore di artist di performile, and then just silo ge ke nyakišiša go humana e le gore ba re because of us re tšatše the entity form. Jwale ka re why le re dumelela re performa e se re tšatše the entity form, and then ba kgopela tshwarelo, and then re tshwarelana le bona. Jwale re kgopela rena re berekang ko facility artist ba tla re bolaya ka baka la gore ge re sa dire dilo gabotse ba tlo nagana gore rena re ja ditšhelete tša bona, and ga mora ba tlogana o perform. Re bile le event ye nngwe mo Makobe re bile le event mo Makobe. Okay, ke tšwele pele.
Yeah.
Okay, event ela a civil artist be re no bolela o ka re mo society akere be re bolela o ka re no ba mo society ka lebaka la eng batho ba ba leng ko godimo ba le ba laolang ditšhelete akere ba tshela rena re leng local re bolelang le di-artist and re boledisa di-artist tša rena gore di kwešiše seemo sa rena ba founela tšona straight a re nyaka o tlo performa ko eventing artist re lempa 200,000 a ke re o bolela le beng ba ditšhelete okay jwale ke ra a re šomišaneng rena re leng ko fase re tshwere bothata ke tšhaba o pointa o mongwe wa lena ba arts and culture o re sokolang le yena okay ke nyaka o mmolela ka lebitso o a sokola mosadi o a sokola ene o ka re nna ke kruku mo di-artistic le yena ba nape ba re batho ba ba arts and culture ke di-kruku kgante yena o le ka o kgopela ko godimo and then dilo a di tsamaye botse ko godimo jwale anke re like le re protecte ka baka la gore di-artist tšona tše ke tšona gore di-event tša rena re kgone go humana setšhaba re se addresse ntle le di-artist a re humane setšhaba jwale a re respecteng di-artist tše gore re kgone di-event tša rena di tšwele pele gabotse and then re be successful mo dilong tša rena ke a leboga
Tobela nna ke nna Khalimampuru ke Johannes Klokwane district under masepala wa Makhudutama ke soopedi ebile ke nna ke Georgian pleasure ke producer pleasure ke na le mengwaga e mentši le industry kgopela tshwarele. I want to apologize we are lost. I'm sorry like whatever e bolela mo we are lost man batho ba sa timage a gona mo bolang ka system re ke ba leng to draft event technical and production services industry BEE sector code. It's clear this thing but we are lost. That giant guy you helped me to fund COVID nationally. I'm one of those people. We are lost. Arajuru kushisha kwa harabele ka hopela mo oba bopedi oba otlo nya ka ditenda mo arajuru kushisha marana kitomo kushisha cause I was surprised seeing stages a white guy somewhere in Genfest ka Manyalo Fiesta. I was surprised the sound was from Chinese guys. Yeah, it was in Genfest. I was surprised because I said to myself, honey, I've got my own sound. How possible can I get that event? Today, my eyes is opened. I must follow procedure. But the artists, they don't comply. They're not registered. They're not giving a text license. They're not complying. That's why they're busy doing this. They are lost. Babushing. Ne? Babushing. They'll understand now. Kemela kos kiko basa ya tugu abamorle hunzi. Babushing. Na go tell so gore le bolela ka eng this thing e gono dula na se gale ke fitile I'm not from Sekhukhune but listening to you and the chair already I have the picture gore re bolela ka eng ifa. We are not saying the artists are wrong, we are saying at the wrong platform ba bolela ka sesongona ke gopela gore le nyakeng ya artist le organizing le ba bitcheng agree e tle be ya bona here yona agree yes yona. My question is she agree well ria gola ke dilo tša gore be inali a certain level to ba go hire to a certain event e golo ke thoma go e kwa like ke ikušiše gore go na le a certain level we must have on BEE or and then I'm lost. I've got the company, I've got BEE, it's a small production company, Black Room Music and Project. We need to get more information from you. Can you close this chapter and the stuff? Can we please continue teaching us, please?
Thank you very much, panel. Leadership. I think you have partly covered my questions. I think Chair was defensive. Let me just stand up. Let me speak on behalf of, I'm not an artist, but I will tell you I'm a leader and I'm an activist here. There's no one who is wrong here. There's no one who is wrong. If you were there, madam, in the last interaction in Pretoria, the issue of inclusivity, chairperson cannot you cannot defend issues of inclusivity. Actually, you are an interim team that must lead when we finally constitute a body that will actually lead this thing. You are an interim team. Our issue, is that not correct? It is correct. So if you are an interim team, it can be that in all these affiliations that come together, there's no young person, there's no women and so on. We just raise because this law are not for yourself only, it's for the public. So we are just saying include young people. We actually, from moral regeneration point of view, I don't want to patronize people. I don't want to fool people. If you are sitting there, I'm a happy gentleman when he stood up and said you got help from that gentleman. I was there when Mr. China would understand this thing in Pretoria there. But today you stand up, you helped me. So what we need is to say, in Limpopo province, this panel, you have managed to assist X, Y, and Z. That's what must happen. So even in the constitution, this draft, a consultation, let me tell you, people are not stupid. Whatever people say, Mr. China Joseph, whether it's wrong or right, you can't just say, we'll just pass. If I ask you from that last interaction, the province number money which you are consulting today, this one, Limpopo province, it can't that the panel come from Gauteng. All of you are in Gauteng, in South Africa. That can happen. It's either it's a noble plea to actually go and co-opt people from other provinces. Just that when you interact with people from the ground, maybe they understand your language better. Some of the issues that we are talking about, issues such as artists, they can be resolved speedily. So you can't be planning there on top and people on the ground, they are not there. So issue of inclusivity is very important. And actually, when it goes to Parliament, it does not prevent us engaging Parliament out of you. We can still engage Parliament. We can easily... No, Chairperson, you see, I respect people. I respect people. Don't allow me to engage you in another way. Please, I just respect people. Please, and what I'm talking sense here because people can't come here and go back home and nothing is happening. Like their lives, we are dealing with the plight of poverty, unemployment, and so on. So actually, when we deal with these sensitive issues, let us also be sensitive ourselves as panel. What I was asking, Koro, this is an interim team. When you follow the resolve there at the last interaction, we said at the end, we'll just come up with a body that will talk to all of us in provinces. That's what was said there. I'm not just saying this out of, nowhere. I'm talking out of reference. So issue of inclusivity, you can't say in 10 those denominations, there is no young young there. So please, let us transform. Thank you very much.
Dumelang. Firstly, I'll say Welcome to Limpopo. Okay, I was there in Pretoria, and it's very disappointing because I'm one of the people from Limpopo. Some of those who are here, they came here, they didn't even know what was going to happen. Some are looking for funding, some are looking for other things, and even the messages that were sent to them, you can see, some were called yesterday or at night. So, Mr. Mwadze, we've got a problem. And now, instead of us going forward discussing this, I know other people don't understand. Like, we learn along the way. You can't take a crown and put it on top of the head of someone who is confused or frustrated. I think we need to fix things. Not only the department, but I'm speaking to you. There are problems. Yes, we need to fix this about like to help people. But some things are not going well because others are frustrated. That is why they are saying their things. Like you don't understand. But the real reason why they are saying this is because some of them, they came here, they don't even know what it was going to be discussed here. And what do we do? Because there are going to be a lot of questions. And you see that guy, I forgot his name. Yes. Mr. Hlongwane. He was also there in Pretoria. And the questions he's asking, you understand that he's asking from, based on reasons he was there, like, you understand? And some of the people, they were not there in Pretoria. So what do we do now? Do we continue with the questions that other people don't understand? Because another thing, one is going to tell you that he's the representative of the pensioners. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I think maybe I would say Mr. Leroux and Mr. Mwadze say something so that we can be on the same level, then we know what to do. Because otherwise 4 o'clock is 4 o'clock re sa bolela selo.
Thanks, moderator, and thanks for the comments. I'm not going to go into them. I remember the chairperson of Spiritual Association in GBV walked in very late in the middle of the session, and he missed a lot of what was said here, and he didn't understand what we are all about, which was explained in his absence. So to you, the chairperson, would like you to engage with Mr. Mwadze, who is the chief director of this province. He will assist you in your request with regards to artist issues that you have raised. And I'm not going to respond to Mr. Hlongwane's allegation of myself defending. It is clear his understanding is the same as that of the chairperson of the Spiritual Association, despite the clarifications that were given here while we are all congregating here. He insists on the position of inclusivity. I'll hand over to my two colleagues here, and to him in particular, I would ask him to go and research on the formation of the structure. It is not true. It's a blatant, unfounded statement that the forum all comes from Gauteng. There's probably 3 associations or members from Gauteng. The other people come from different provinces. On my left here is China Mpololo from Cape Town. On the other side, the white man, Mr. Kebilaru, also from another province. So please go research and find out who we are so that when you ask questions, you present facts. Thanks.
Just one comment. You know, my concern, program director, is that ever since we have started this session, probably it's only 5% of our time we have dealt with the content of today, the business. And that is a worrying thing. But at the same time, because we are not placed here, we are also activists. And therefore, hence we said earlier on, we understand the frustrations and the challenges that the people and the comrades are coming from. As much as it's not the correct forum to address those things, but it doesn't stop us not to put them on the back of our mind through our connections and network and find ways and means of assisting. If you remember, in 2011, the ex-president Zuma had a session with the industry at Sandton Convention Center. And in his closing remarks, he made a very profound issue to say the entire sector is not organized. Because what transpired on that afternoon, instead of addressing the common problems of the industry, people were raising their individual, I haven't been paid this, I don't get bookings and all that kind of stuff. Now, that statement made it possible for each and every structure to stand up and constitute itself so that you become a force to be reckoned with. Now, if you were listening carefully to the chairperson's opening remarks, one of the fundamental principles that he has stressed on is the fact that structures that are constituting this forum are associations, which are national associations. In fact, the South African Music Promoters Secretary General comes from this province. I think there's a place called Mukokopani or something. He comes from this province. And therefore, it is untrue that this is only in Gauteng. I don't want us to get to that, because once we get to that, we'll be justifying what is incorrect. We're supposed to be dealing with the business of today. Now, my suggestion, which I think will be my last comments, is that each and everyone be part of a national institution, be part of a national association, be part of a national structure that speaks to your sector. Last month, as SAMPA, we had to engage the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture on national basis on a senior level, from the DG, acting DGs, DTGs and so forth, on issues that speaks to promoters, events organizers, you know, because that is our task. We can't go and talk to SAMBRO. That's not our responsibility. That's not our space, because we don't talk to musicians. We talk to practitioners of the live event that deals and create work for musicians. And when we deal with that, we are talking on behalf of our members. But if you are an individual, you cannot expect to benefit on things that you are not part of. So we'll encourage you, associate yourself with various structures, not because when we don't respond to some of the comments and allegations that I've made, it's not because we don't have answers. We just feel it's not necessary. Because what we have realized is that people are not well informed about issues. Hence, we need to officially close this session, and then we engage each other on one-on-one basis so that you get more clarity, as the gentleman did with Umlungu. You know, thanks, Lead.
So I'm Leroux, and I was asked to say something specific. So in a sense that my colleague Mr. Mpololo actually already addressed that. So clearly there's a mixture. Can I just see hands? Who are musicians, performing artists, musicians? Just raise your hands so we can get some sort of idea what kind of a mix we've got. So you are an individual performing musician. Right, so you're not here representing a label or a publishing house or whatever. You're here as a musician. Okay, right. So there's quite a few of you. Now, in your particular case, definitely. And not because I'm representing the union, but you should join TUMSA. Because exactly the type of frustrations that you have. We have workshops, we've got representatives throughout all the provinces. We have a provincial secretary, we've got structures, and I just happen to be the one who founded it, and because I'm the oldest, they made me the acting president. But I don't care, because the association itself is you. It is you. These associations are not people, individuals who say, I'm the association and you must come to me and I'll give you this, that, and the other. The association itself is made up of people like yourself. And we engage with every single one of them in every form, in every province. And I'm just giving you an example of TUMSA. But China just spoke about Sampa. There's SARA for the roadies. There's all these foundations and all these structures that have got a very specific purpose. So if you're asking Mr. Leroux to say something, I'm saying exactly that. Whatever your area is that you're wanting to build a career in, and you have frustrations, you have fundamental problems, find out if there is a structure or an association that represents you, and go and join them. Become active, become part of the solution, because else you'll only end up being the problem yourself. You cannot always look at other people to solve your problems for you. But if you associate yourself with others who have got similar problems, and there's by the power, colleagues, I just want to leave you with one thing, and this applies to everybody. The power lies in the collective. The power doesn't lie with one individual. Associate yourself with others that are in your position, and join a structure where there's already those topics are being discussed on a regular basis. Therein, you will find your strength and the answers to your problems. Thank you.
Dumelang, legai, rdeng. Netse ke mametse mona ke a utlwa rai. Unane batho ba llang hore bo madala bana ba dula mona hey. Eka hey youth ing. Batho ba tshwana le nna tje ke dila le youth nna. Every day of my life for years, I founded the South African Roadies Association mainly to empower the black child with technical and production skills, skills that black people were deprived of. I was fortunate because I started working as a roadie, as a technician in the early 80s for a top South African band called Harare and the solo carrier of Sipho Hot Sticks Mabuse. I was fortunate because Harare was the first black group to own their technical equipment. So I had access to the equipment. I had the opportunity to travel all corners of South Africa, including this province, doing our own concerts, not relying on promoters. So that's how I was exposed to the imbalances of this sector, that black people were only allowed to be musicians, actors, performers, and the technical and production side, which commands the power, where the power lies, was to be a white male-dominated sector. So that's how this idea came about, to set up this organization so that a black child can be empowered with these skills. Today, hundreds of black kids have been trained by this organization, are working all over the world. Even one who comes from this province is now based in the US, doing great work. Even all the series of top film called Fast and Furious, Thabo Mogoto, is from this province, doing great work. There is another one this year who's also in the States, touring the States for 10 months, supporting their families. So this forum was created to address the imbalances of the technical and technical and production sector of the industry. And then not only focus on artist musicians, because you can be a musician, but if you don't have a platform or a stage where you'll showcase your talent, your music, and then there will be no showcasing because of lack of skilled technical and production personnel. That's why we as black people, we could not present or showcase our culture, our music in our communities because of lack of these skills and access to this expensive equipment. But through this kind of a forum, that will also assist in the building up of black-owned technical companies, whereby you can end up here in Limpopo having coupler equipment hire companies. When you have your major events, you can have companies in Limpopo, technical companies in Limpopo providing the services than having companies from Johannesburg coming to do, but it needs training. Give our people the skills, especially young people. And then they get also empowered to be entrepreneurs. And then it grows. It starts somewhere. Thank you.
There was a gentleman who still had a question. No longer?
No, basically it was not a question. Most of the time I'm the last one to speak and everything that I wanted to say has been said. Okay. So I just want to say that if everybody was paying attention, then we should be able to carry on with the purpose of the day, if everyone was paying attention. But if people were not paying attention and they want to focus on things that were not supposed to be part of this meeting, then we are not doing justice to the day. So I do like to propose that we move ahead with the purpose of the day, because I think the issues of artists, like my colleague there from the producer from Skukuni, he has made it clear that look, we can't be wasting time when we are able to read what this thing is. So yeah, let us accept whatever happened and be able to move on, please.
Okay, thank you. I'll give this gentleman, then in closing, I'll give it to you, Chief Director.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Pleasure Nhlongwane. From MP Film Production, I'm a producer, film producer from Greater Zanini. Yeah, can I use my language, please? Thank you. Yeah, yeah, especially if we our artist here. I'm not the artist. I'm a film producer, and then the artist will raise the genuine concerns, and then and then if we I think it's 200 and something kilometers to Polokwane. And then the queries, then from there, which is unfair. Because in the artists, what they want is stage to perform. Renari film producers, a platform to showcase our work. So simple as that. Usually triple BEE and other things will understand them. Mara, if like a recreated stage, Rio, the Shumisakai, the triple BEE. And then the Gasiberek again. And then says to me, issue the database, the employment, and whatever. So you was challenged too much, my sister. Into ekulu mo ki talent. La bona batho ba bene mo bona le talent. So bona go ntšha le talenta tša bona ka ntle. It's not isha mereko all the case all the time. Bana re le talenta tša bona le tšwelele ka ntle. Ntho re ikgopelago ke platform. La bona le ka re botša re platform re kry-a kae. Le boletše ka issue ya sampa. Maybe even our artists don't even know sampa or imo kae mo Limpopo. Do tšere di bolelago ka moka tšona. Ba tseba ka di access mo kae. So ke mo re tshwanetse re thoma gona gore if like re nyaka assistance like this a re thomeni kae, not gore re thome ka BEEE like which is because I can say bereke if a rena le stage re gopela di platform re botše after producing a film ke isa kae, after recording a music ke o isa kae, o ra loka kae, o ra loka Thobela FM Munghana Lonene tša Mandoza mara tša mo Limpopo di ra loka kae. Ke mo se re thoma gona. The frustration tša batho banna ke a di kwešiša because le nna me artist though is I'm a film producer, but re gopela re le re fe direction re nyaka the platform please. Thank you.
Chief, I've been asked to close.
Thank you. Earlier when I stood up to speak, I was largely trying to save face, and I think I've been exposed now. The reason being that you will remember somewhere towards late last year, and I was trying to withhold that deliberately. Each district delegated a few people to go and attend a similar session. I think the reference being made here is to that one in Pretoria. Am I correct? Somewhere last year. So it just goes to show you that on return, we don't go back and give feedback. So if I'm delegated to go and attend a session on behalf of any institution, whether it be government, private sector, it doesn't matter, I've got a duty to come back. I'm not going on holiday where I'm going to. I've got a duty to come back and go to the stakeholders and report to them and say, this is what I went out to learn, and this is what is expected from us. Now, clearly, if people say they've been out, they've attended, and people come here and you even leave them from your own district to come here when you know that the purpose of this is a follow-up on what we did last year, and to leave people who, in quotes, would be relevant to be here, isn't that a wastage of resources? Because we ourselves have requested, am I correct, from National, that could you please increase the number to 20. It was 10 per district last year. So we said make it 20 per district so that we reach a wider range in each district. And National agreed to that. So if we come here today and we say, no, you see, we are at the wrong platform and you're being chastised for raising our questions here, it's totally unfair on us as well. Because we would have expected you to go back and say, I've been on this escapade and this is what we were told, this is what is expected, there's going to be a follow-up. And I can give you an example. Last week we had a session here of the Indaba. Resolutions were taken there. When we come back, you can't make us regurgitate what we've discussed when we should be moving forward. So we expect you to say 10 steps forward and let's not be static. Let's make progress, because now it's like absolutely the department. When I said earlier we'll go back and fix it, I knew that I didn't want to bring up this, that people went out, then there was a session, then we are making a follow-up on that session, and then we expect people to come here with relevant people. But if you come and accuse us further in front of people, is that not trying to embarrass us? So let's cover. What do? We must wash our own dirty linen backyard. We can't go in front. We can't show everybody. So I thought that's what we were doing in the beginning, so that everybody should then go back and say, let's come back next time well organized and we know what it is that we're talking about. I would support the idea that for those of us who are comprehending what it is that we are about here, let's continue. And if you feel that you can't follow us yet, please stay stuck there. But you'll also help in disseminating the information once you go back to your district. So it's a request, please. Thank you.
I've been asked to give it to China, to give the closing. Unfortunately, we have to close it. I think China, I was happy to be here. It's always good.
Thanks, Julia. I think I'm speaking on behalf of my chairperson and my fellow colleagues. The chief director, the situation here, it's not unique. You do find it in other provinces too. And as I've said earlier on my first opening remarks, the sector, especially the music side of it, is bleeding so much that people don't know what to do, but the only thing they know is the fact that they've got a skill and the craft. Now, we all understand you decided not to be a police or a teacher or a nurse purely because you believe in the talent and the craft and the potential that you have. But at the same time, you are not blinded. You can see that other people are aspiring and are succeeding, and you are not. And in your understanding, you have something that tells you in the back of your mind. Some of the things that blocks you not to succeed is because of the lack of resources, lack of support, and so forth and so forth. And we understand that. That's why it's not easy for us to dismiss these issues and just say, let's go back to the document. But I think we have a responsibility. ITUMSA is not just an organization, but it's a trade union. Now, if you understand the trade union in any country of the world, their interest is about workers. And in this case, their interest, it's performers and artists. Now, I would propose, Julie, that as we are closing this session, every single person who regards himself or herself as a musician or performer, songwriter, please give yourself 2 minutes and engage with Gabby in all the challenges and the frustrations that you have. Same with music promoters, events, people. I'm ready here. Anyone who owns a technical production or who even intend to do that, Freddie will be here. We will allow ourselves to engage with all those challenges so that by the time we leave here, we're able to start exchanging every single support and idea. But when some stage we'll get back here, we'll find a completely different ball game. It is so painful to find our fellow colleagues. I mean, it must be very clear. The agenda here is very simple and straightforward. It's a black agenda. Now, every time we move around, most of the people that we're supposed to be talking to are the establishment, which is the white companies that have been benefiting all along. And they are not coming to these sessions. The people that are coming are the very same black people. Now, history will judge us very harshly if we're not using the experience, the expertise, the information, the network, and the power that we have in our individual aspect to support you. But I can assure you that all those who engage to this organization, which goes back to what the chairperson earlier on, associate yourself with a national organization, will have a different story next time we meet. I thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to the forum. Thank you, gentlemen and one lady. Thank you for all of your questions and your engagement. And with this, I'd like to close our session. But if there are individuals, we're here, you can come to us. And you can ask questions. Thank you very much.